There are thoughts you must never allow the world to see. Thoughts that feel natural to confess, tempting to reveal, seductive to share when someone presses you with questions. You imagine that honesty will earn respect, that opening your inner world will build closeness, that revealing what you think will make you appear authentic. But Machiavelli would tell you this: the moment you reveal those private thoughts, you surrender the most powerful weapon you have: mystery. Understand, this first principle, power lives not in what people know about you, but in what they cannot figure out. The less they can read your mind, the more they assume. And in the gaps of assumption, they almost always overestimate. Your silence is a blank canvas, and the human brain, desperate to fill voids, paints it with strength. But the second you begin to explain yourself, to show the details of your private mind, the canvas collapses into a sketch everyone can mock. Imagine you are in a negotiation. They ask what you truly want, what you are afraid of, what your bottom line is. The weak man tells them. He thinks being transparent is honorable. He admits he fears losing the deal. He confesses he only has so much money. He explains the sacrifices he made to get here. But the moment his words leave his mouth, the other side holds the strings. They know where to push, how to squeeze, and when to strike. His confession becomes their strategy. His honesty becomes their leverage. Machiavelli would never do this. He would never reveal the private thought. Instead, he would smile, delay, answer vaguely, or ask a question back. Because once they know your heart, they own your body. Once they know your fear, they control your decisions. Once they know your dream, they can destroy it. The power is not in expression, it is in suppression. What you hide matters more than what you say. There are 3 private thoughts most people expose without realizing it. The first is desire. When you tell people what you crave, respect, love, money, recognition, you hand them a lever. They can dangle it, withhold it, or mock you for needing it. The second is fear. When you show them the thing that unsettles you, abandonment, betrayal, humiliation, you offer them a weapon that cuts you deeper than steel. The third is doubt. When you reveal uncertainty in your own abilities, you allow them to mirror that doubt until you believe it twice as strongly. These are the 3 blades of psychological warfare. The one who keeps them hidden remains untouchable. The one who reveals them bleeds. Think of a romantic relationship. The average man believes pouring out his inner doubts, his private fears, his longing for reassurance will bond him with his partner. He says things like, "I am afraid you will leave me. I need you to validate me. I do not feel strong unless you tell me I am." He thinks it sounds vulnerable, even noble. But to Machiavelli, this is self-sabotage. Because the moment the partner hears that confession, she realizes she holds power over his identity. She may not even mean to use it at first, but it plants a seed. From now on, whenever she is angry, she knows where to strike. Whenever she is bored, she knows how to keep control. The one who bleeds his thoughts is the one who eventually begs. And beggars are never respected, only tolerated. Now imagine the opposite. A man accused of arrogance, coldness, selfishness. He does not explain himself. He does not defend his motives. He does not confess the truth in his heart. Instead, he lets them wonder. He lets silence echo. People whisper, "Why does he never explain? Does he not care? Is he too strong to need us?" The very absence of his confession becomes the foundation of their curiosity. They begin to talk about him, to study him, to project myths onto him. And slowly, he becomes larger than life. Not because of what he gave them, but because of what he refused to give. Machiavelli understood this perfectly. The private thought is like a loaded gun. In your hand, it is safety. Once revealed, it is ammunition for others. You think you are creating intimacy by opening up, but you are actually writing the script of your own defeat. The king who reveals his fear of betrayal will always be betrayed. The warrior who reveals his exhaustion will always be struck in the night. The leader who confesses his dream of peace will always be tested by war. Do not confuse honesty with strategy. Strategy is deciding what to expose and what to conceal. And in the game of power, concealment almost always wins. There is another reason to guard your private thoughts. Once spoken, they cannot be controlled. They travel like wildfire, distorted at every retelling. You may whisper your doubt to one trusted friend, but soon it spreads, reshaped, amplified, twisted. By the time it circles back, it has become a story that defines you. He is insecure, he is desperate, he is weak, and you did it to yourself because you thought confession was safe. Machiavelli would laugh at such naivety. He would remind you that people do not protect secrets, they trade them. And the more emotional the confession, the more valuable the currency. So here is the law. Never reveal the private thought. Let them guess what you want. Let them misinterpret what you fear. Let them underestimate what you doubt. Because in there, guessing, you control the game. They swing at shadows. They prepare for enemies that may not exist. They trip over traps that were never set. And all the while, you remain calm, silent, untouchable. To be feared is powerful. To be misunderstood is even more powerful. But to be an enigma, silent, unreadable, and untouchable, that is the apex of control. Remember this. The world does not reward the man who spills his thoughts like wine on the floor. It rewards the man who guards them like a fortress, letting only the smallest drops escape, and always on his own terms. Control your tongue, master your silence, and your aura will grow larger than any truth you could ever reveal. Because in the end, people respect the mystery they cannot penetrate more than the honesty they can dissect.
There is a reason the most powerful figures in history often spoke less than everyone else around them. It was not shyness, nor was it lack of ideas. It was calculation. They understood that when others speak, they expose themselves. But when you stay guarded, you force the world to keep guessing. Every silence becomes a mirror in which others project their own fears, suspicions, and fantasies. And projection is the most useful weapon you can ever hold. Machiavelli observed this in rulers who endured. The weak princes were always the ones desperate to show their thoughts, to defend every decision, to explain every action. They believed that the more transparent they were, the more loyal their people would remain. But the reality was the opposite. The clearer their mind, the easier it was to find cracks. Their enemies could anticipate their moves, predict their responses, and exploit their values. Their transparency became their downfall. Consider the court of a modern leader, not in palaces, but in boardrooms. Everyone is watching, everyone is measuring. In this environment, to speak too much is to bleed. If you reveal what you truly desire from the merger, they will weaponize it. If you admit what you fear about the competitor, they will amplify it. If you express your private doubts, they will spread them until they become the narrative of the market. The powerful leader never does this. He asks questions instead. He says less than necessary. He gives vague signals that could be interpreted in multiple ways. He lets others speak until they entangle themselves in webs of revelation, while his own thoughts remain untouchable. Machiavelli would tell you that a secret, once shared, is no longer a secret but a tool for someone else. You may feel lighter after confessing, but the listener feels heavier, with leverage. They may smile, nod, and seem supportive. But in their mind, they are already calculating how your confession can tilt the balance. Your honesty to them is not intimacy, it is opportunity. And once the opportunity is seen, it cannot be unseen. This is why the clever man guards his innermost thoughts like treasure. Not because he does not trust others, but because he understands human nature too well to hand them a sword and hope they do not stab. Let us take relationships again, for they are the place most people ruin themselves through confession. The man who admits to his partner every doubt, every weakness, every fear, believes he is building closeness. But closeness built on confession is fragile. It breeds contempt, not respect. The partner may love him, but she will never admire him. She may stay, but she will never submit. Because in her mind, she knows his vulnerabilities better than he does, and once someone owns your vulnerabilities, they own you. That is why people leave those who confess too much. Not always because they hate them, but because they can no longer respect them. Machiavelli would remind you that love without respect is servitude. It makes you dependent, and dependency is slavery by another name. The man who keeps his private thoughts guarded, however, creates the opposite effect. His partner wonders what he is truly thinking, questions his silence, and obsesses over the mystery. Mystery is not only attractive, it is magnetic. It pulls others into orbit. They cannot stop thinking about you precisely because they cannot fully understand you. What is hidden grows in importance. What is revealed quickly decays. Think of another battlefield, the digital world. Social media is filled with confessions, with people exposing their desires, fears, and doubts daily. They reveal what makes them angry, what they crave, what keeps them awake at night. And while they feel they are connecting with others, they are, in fact, handing enemies free maps to their mind. Critics know where to strike. Manipulators know what to dangle. Rivals know what to undermine. The entire marketplace of attention thrives on people who confess too much. But the one who withholds becomes untouchable. He does not give the algorithm his soul. He gives it only shadows, fragments, carefully chosen signals that build an image while concealing the reality. That is why the mysterious accounts rise in influence, because people cannot stop projecting into the void. Machiavelli knew that even allies are dangerous when you confess too much. A friend who knows your deepest fear may use it against you when loyalty shifts. A colleague who knows your hidden desire may manipulate you when ambitions clash. A partner who knows your doubt may twist it when resentment grows. The human mind is fickle, and today's confidant is tomorrow's rival. To confess is to bet your security on the stability of human loyalty. But history proves that loyalty is never permanent. Therefore, secrecy is the only shield that never dulls. It is not that you must never speak at all. It is that you must speak with intention, never from impulse. Share fragments, not wholes. Reveal just enough to satisfy curiosity, but never enough to arm betrayal. Confess only what you can afford to lose, because every confession is currency, and the exchange rate is brutal. Once spent, you never get it back. Machiavelli would also warn that silence is not enough by itself. It must be paired with composure. If your silence looks nervous, it signals that you are hiding weakness. But if your silence looks calm, it signals that you are hiding strength. The same silence, two different readings. The secret is posture, tone, and aura. The still face, the steady gaze, the composed breath, all of these frame your silence as confidence, not fear. People rarely judge what you say. They judge how you hold what you refuse to say. The law of concealment is simple. Never reveal the thought that would hand someone else control over you. Never expose the desire that can be dangled, the fear that can be pressed, or the doubt that can be magnified. Keep those locked away. Instead, reveal strength when you must. Reveal indifference. When it suits you, reveal precision when it traps others, but never reveal the core. For the man who reveals the core is already conquered. What you must aim for is this. When people think about you, they cannot agree on what you want, what you fear, or what you doubt. Some will say you are ambitious, others will say you are calm. Some will think you are ruthless, others will think you are generous. Let them argue. Let them debate. Let them misinterpret. Because while they waste energy trying to define you, you are free to define the game. Confusion in them is control for you, and control is the only currency that never devalues. So remember this: your private thoughts are not gifts for others. They are your arsenal. Guard them as if your life depends on it, because in power games, it does. Machiavelli would say it plainly: the one who never reveals himself becomes the one who commands everyone else. The most dangerous illusion of all is believing that people want your honesty more than they want your silence. They do not. People claim they value transparency, openness, and authenticity, but what they truly respect is strength, and strength is never proven by revealing your heart. It is proven by mastering it. Machiavelli knew that rulers who spoke too freely did not last, not because they lacked ideas, but because they lacked restraint. Words become chains when they are tied to your deepest thoughts. The fewer chains you create, the freer you remain. Consider how this applies to social dynamics. When you walk into a group setting, every eye studies you, looking for a signal. Do you seek approval? Do you crave validation? Do you fear rejection? Most people expose these thoughts in subtle ways. They laugh too quickly at jokes, they nod too eagerly at comments, they confess too soon when confronted. Each of these is a revelation of a private thought: the need to be liked, the fear of exclusion, the doubt of self-worth. Machiavelli would tell you this: never let them see it. A calm presence that gives little away makes others uncomfortable, but it also makes them cautious. Caution breeds respect. Respect, when cultivated, turns into influence. This is why the most magnetic individuals are rarely the ones who explain themselves constantly. They are the ones who leave questions unanswered, who refuse to spell out every detail, who remain unpredictable. People obsess over them precisely because they cannot be understood. Think of the historical figures who became legends. They were not men who confessed all their motives. They were men who let the world speculate. Their silence created myths, and myths outlive explanations. There is also an economic truth in concealment. Information is value. When you reveal your private thoughts, you devalue yourself by flooding the market. The more you give away, the cheaper your words become. But the man who speaks rarely, who reveals little, raises the price of his every statement. His words carry weight, not because they are louder, but because they are scarce. Machiavelli would remind you, scarcity creates value in everything, including your thoughts. To confess is to make yourself common. To conceal is to make yourself rare. But let us push deeper into the psychology of enemies. If someone wishes to undermine you, they will look for your private thoughts first. They will test you, provoke you, watch how you react. Do you reveal your anger easily? Then they know how to trigger you. Do you reveal your envy quickly? Then they know how to bait you. Do you reveal your fear without resistance? Then they know where to press. The one who cannot guard his inner world is already defeated before the battle begins. Machiavelli's wisdom is merciless but true. The man who bleeds his mind in front of others will eventually bleed his throne beneath them. Now think of betrayal. Every great downfall begins with a confession. Caesar trusted men who knew his vulnerabilities. Leaders fall not because they were outmatched, but because they were too open. A whisper to the wrong ear, a doubt shared at the wrong time, a desire revealed to someone waiting to exploit it. That is how empires crumble. Machiavelli's law is brutal. Your private thoughts are never harmless. They are daggers, and daggers always find hands eager to hold them. So how do you practice concealment without appearing robotic or soulless? The secret lies in controlled revelation. Give people glimpses, not maps. Offer fragments that misdirect rather than truths that expose. Share a thought that leads them away from your core, not closer to it. Say just enough to appear relatable, but never enough to be predictable. Confuse their readings so they cannot pin you down. Let them wonder. Is he ambitious or content? cold or kind, ruthless or merciful. The more they wonder, the more they revolve around you. Mystery becomes gravity, and gravity pulls power toward you. Machiavelli would also stress the importance of timing. Silence at the wrong moment looks weak, but silence at the right moment looks dominant. The difference is intention. Do not confuse cowardice with control. When accused, hold the silence long enough to unsettle. When questioned, respond so little that they lean forward. When pressured, delay until the pressure turns back on them. You are not avoiding conflict. You are letting them choke on their own words. In this way, concealment becomes an attack, not a retreat. And here lies the paradox. The less you reveal, the more people reveal themselves. In the vacuum of your silence, they will overcompensate. They will speak longer, confess deeper, expose themselves more fully, all to fill the emptiness you leave. You gain information without giving any. You control the tempo without seeming to try. Machiavelli would say, this is the essence of dominance. Not to speak louder, but to speak less, and listen more, until every confession belongs to them and none to you. So we arrive at the cold advice. Never reveal the private thoughts that can weaken you. Guard your desires, for they will be exploited. Guard your fears, for they will be pressed. Guard your doubts, for they will be magnified. Reveal only strength, indifference, or precision, and even then only in doses. Let others choke on their own honesty while you rise on the silence of your restraint. Because in the end, power does not belong to the man who speaks most. It belongs to the man who makes others speak, while he says almost nothing. Machiavelli's legacy is not kindness, it is control. And control begins where confession ends. Speak less, reveal less, conceal more. And in that concealment, you will find yourself elevated above the noise, untouchable by those who think they know you, feared by those who can never quite read you, and remembered as more than a man. You become an enigma, and enigmas rule the world.